Nick is my brother. He visited Karachi, by the way, in November 2020, and we showed him Karachi, the beauty of Karachi, and he interacted with hundreds of individuals. And Nick, thanks for joining us. Nick's topic for
It's my
talk
pleasure.
is how to set up an exponential organization, leveraging tech, exponential thinking, and open innovation. And Rabia will introduce Nick.
Hello, Nick. It's a pleasure to see you, to meet you. Nick has grown up as a game addict that found inspiration out of complex problems to solve. After graduating in hospitality, entrepreneurship, and business innovation, he started his own innovation consultancy firm in which he started helping defining game challenges with organizations to invite outsiders to co-create solutions for them, inviting the best gamers and creatives to come up with interesting ideas. Sooner or later, Nick hosted tens of thousands of people in these hackathon events. In the last year, he started working for Avon's University as change maker to bring in his network and knowledge of creating serious playgrounds, and started coaching students and teachers in bringing in more technology and business challenges into play in today's education, to give students the actual keys to help save our planet, going deeper and deeper into complex challenges like climate change, learning retention through sensor data, DIY measurement devices, into learning analytics and measurement tools, and chatbots and AI, into further progressing skills and knowledge education, into serious games and immersive team challenges. He currently develops tools and methodologies to bring climate-related issues closer to mind and measures real-time feedback and a sense of responsibility, combining rubrics, heart rate, cognitive load data, while driving in immersive storytelling, virtual reality experiences. This to create more social entrepreneurs out of university that can scale up so rapidly that they can be called exponential organizations, those who can change the world for millions in very little time.
And most important is that Nick is one of the big ambassador of Pakistan today. Over to you, Nick, my friend.
Thank you very much, Mohammed and Rabia. Thank you for the lovely introduction. And yeah, I'm looking forward to be in Islamabad somewhere next year. And today we will be doing this online. And I really like the event to be hybrid, as it's also part of what I'm actually organizing in here in the universities and in the country to get more international audience on board. And I think that's a really great way to get the biggest problems together on one plate, everyone's plate, and to work towards exponential organizations, the topic that I will be speaking about today. So exponential organizations, as a little bit introduced already, is a company, an organization that can scale and ramp up to 1 billion people in as little as 7 years. So some companies that have done that are Uber, Airbnb, Google, Netflix. These kind of companies were able to use existing technology like the mobile phone to reach to 1 billion people, to actually make a positive impact on their daily lives. And I'm going to share a bit on how to set up such a company as a startup or as a corporate, transforming your organization into one. Because there has been a lot of research after these terms, exponential organizations, and after the recipes that companies are including in their organizations to actually ramp up faster and to actually make a more impact on the globe. So let me very quickly introduce you all to me. At the moment, I'm using a lot of technologies. I call it technology in the fourth industrial revolution. So a digitization step after the hardware technologies that we know. And these technologies are having a big impact on society, but most of all, they are changing business as we know it. So business models are changing because of the digitization. And digitization is making things cheaper and cheaper, and in the end, making it in more of an abundance. So code digits are endless. And one day we will have that with, for example, solar energy. And we will have an abundance of energy and so on, an abundance of storage and biology. So these exponentials, they can be applied on new technologies, and today I'm going to present a few of them to give you some hands-on experience on how can they actually change my organization, my business. This is all surrounded by a community of open innovators. It's called OpenEXO, openexo.com. It's an open to join community where people like me, but many others, over 5,000 people actually coaching other organizations to become an exponential organization. So feel free to join us, and feel free to ask people questions about how to tackle your complex issues. Well, who am I? I'm Nick van Breda. I'm 29 years old. I started as a gamer. I actually played for 10 years. I played video games, and I figured out, like, okay, what is more important in life than just boosting myself? It's actually making a change for someone else, helping someone else out there. So try to combine gaming and the fun element into complex challenges, and now I'm using technology, methodologies like design thinking and exponential organizations to help and coach students to become social entrepreneurs. So from that point of view, I started working in a university now to help 700 business innovation students into actually becoming social entrepreneurs in their student career, in their 4 years bachelor. And I'm really big fan of technology, so I'm always trying to keep up with the latest technologies. But I was surprised by all the things that a previous speaker told about, because I didn't know any of them. So I think technology is going so fast that it's very hard to get to know all the technology disruptions that are happening. But for me, I think what my biggest purpose in life is actually to create playgrounds with the tools that are developed to give everyone the opportunity to work on their passion and to work on a good cause to make the world flourish more and get more excited for everyone, while also preserving the planet and making it a better place. So, while we are just getting started with technology changing the world, I just want to start with a small video that wraps up very nicely what the fourth industrial revolution is actually going to be for us. So I'll give you the can you show the video of my slides, and let's walk through what will be coming at us.
You are wondering what is happening to the world. Everything is changing.
The very idea of human being some sort of natural concept is really going to change. Our bodies will be so high-tech we won't be able to really distinguish between what's natural and what's artificial.
Inside our own heads is the most complex arrangement of matter in the known universe.
You might ask yourself, can we get to be superhumans? The original Industrial Revolution was driven by the discovery that you could use steam engines to do all kinds of interesting things.
That was followed by additional revolutions for electricity and computers and communications technology. We're now in the early stages of the fourth industrial revolution, which is bringing together digital, physical, and biological systems.
One of the features of this fourth industrial revolution is that it doesn't change what we are doing, but it changes us.
So this video is a beautiful representation of this next step in the step where we actually can enhance our human bodies, enhance our biology, can enhance our superpowers, our strengths, and everything, and it's going to blend the digital with the physical world. So we'll see more and more happening in the blending of those different things, and it's like a big mammoth. It's like it's so overwhelming. Those rapid changes, like chips in every 12 to 16 months, a chip is double as fast as the half of the size of the chip, and becomes so small that we can actually put it in our brains one day. So if you look at the technology enhancements in just a very short period of time, it's so overwhelming that our linear thinking of us as human beings, as okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, is not keeping up with today's changes in the world. And therefore, an exponential mindset is needed to be able to navigate these rapid changes and to actually steer these rapid changes into your own hands, into a positive future for you. If you look at the history, if you look at the change of from horses to cars, you'll actually only see one car in this image. And everyone thought that we were never going to use a mobile phone. But just 13 years later, you didn't see any horse anymore on the road. And this is already in the last century that happened. If we look at the 1990s, where the first mobile phone was invented, and then 2008 when iPhone kicked in, you can see how fast, like, the whole globe changes in with the coming of the new technology. And those areas are coming faster and faster. Those changes are going more rapidly, and will change faster and faster now with the implementation of artificial intelligence. Actually, a learning system that our reproductional tasks can be better done by machines and better analyzed and improved by using a lot of computational power to actually give links in between more correlations than we as humans can do. If we are, for example, prescribing medicine, we can only think in 7 steps. If this medicine is not working, then this might be working. And this we can only do in 7 steps, but the computer can read millions of research articles and then make a prescription that is much better personalized to your need and has less negative side effects than a human doctor can actually now prescribe. So these systems are going to be working together. We as humans are going to work together more, as we call it, with robots, computers. And today we see some technologies that are actually changing so much systems, like, for example, 3D printing. You can on demand, you can print metal parts, concrete buildings. You can print food, but also organs nowadays. Those things were never possible before, and are changing how we are arranging logistical change. Now we can very localize. We can localize our production much more than we used to do, where we needed a lot of big factories and production facilities to get towards a prototype. So here in the university that I work for, we have like 5 3D printers that are used like continuously by first-year students to actually come up with ingenious ideas, new products, and new innovations, where artificial intelligence is helping us learn and understand data analytics and huge bulks of information, and the blockchain is helping us secure that, so we can do transactions on a more secure way, but also transfer, for example, our health information on a secure way, where we can also get it back afterwards and don't have it stored on many computers at the same time, where you don't want to have it belong. And that's now with the NFT, the arts, and in the last year, and arts that are going digital, you see a big ramp up in blockchain secured ways to trade. And sooner or later, when we don't have any cash anymore in our pockets, we will probably all go into the blockchain to have more secure ways of doing transactions. Nowadays might be not the most energy efficient method, but it's a new technology, and with data storage solutions and data storage becoming cheaper every 16 months, we can see that as maybe one day our blockchain transactions and our idea and our passports will be stored on parts of our DNA, our bio, our our own biology, because we can still find things like sculptures of mammoths, and we can understand who that person or who that beast was by using a hair or using a piece of bone or using a part of DNA. So if we store it on our own system, we can actually open it many, many years from now still, and we can still read and write on it. And that writing is a completely new disruption, that we can write data on DNA, and that we can store data on DNA and not just read where we are coming from and all of these things. I'm really into AR and VR, because we can actually transcend our ideas to someone on the other side of the planet by giving them a headset on and a complete context of the environment, whether it's a society problem which you can tune in and then co-create solutions for that problem while you're live streaming the whole environment, or you're designing architecture and are showcasing or co-creating a future city together with your citizens, where they can make adjustments before things are getting built. So it doesn't have to cost any more waste in person to design things while we do things digitally. And of course, every one of you have heard and seen some self-driving cars like Tesla. And these things are getting more cheaper and cheaper, and solar, quantum computing getting cheaper and cheaper. The next step is going to be the battery storage, of course, that we can generate as much energy as we need with our own houses, so we can store the energy, and we don't have to be reliant on the net of centralized infrastructure of energy. And then the peaks from solar and wind will not be such a problem as it is now, that we have on a certain time span of the day, we have a huge problem with all the solar energy coming in. The other time span, we have a huge problem with all the wind energy and the storage of that. So that's going to really change how we are using and creating energy in the future, and that we can do that ourselves. So that's while we are thinking linear, going into the chaos and amazement. For me, it's big of an amazement, because I see complex problems as nice challenges. And that's why I organize all of these events like hackathons to tackle complex problems. But it's not for everyone. A lot of people are still working in production, are still doing the same job every day. So it's very hard for them to switch their mindset. And if you think of exponential, if you say 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, if you do that 30 times, if you do that in steps 30 times, you multiply it. You actually are talking about exponential developments. And if you see, there are different ways of going exponential. Right? But if you walk 30 times in steps of multiplying, you can actually go 26 times around the Earth, if you look at how many kilometers you've surpassed. So it's amazing how fast things can change, and that's why it's chaos for one and amazing for the other. And if you look at theories, and they're developed by researchers now and then, these theories getting a reality, like Moore's law is getting a reality. And we see that in the computers that have been able to actually overcome and win games that the best human players could no longer beat the computer. And that's with chess, with AlphaGo, and maybe sooner or later also with bridge. Sports that we thought no one would ever be able to create an algorithm to beat out a human player, but they actually did. And the artificial intelligence is thought to be able to outcompete all human beings in computer power by 2028. So in just a few years from now, the computer can, in all the logical questions, they can outcompete any of us. And then the question is, okay, are we going to develop learning algorithms that are going to outcompete us, or are going to joint venture us? And these are some amazing books about the singularity, the moment that AI is overtaking us as humans in our capacity. This is called the singularity, and that's the starting point of where this exponential thinking is coming from. And if you look at technology that is going into this rapid spiral up, we can look at biotech, neurotech, nanotech. So lots of new things that probably you haven't seen in the 90s are now here and are disrupting companies. Like 90% of the Forbes 500 companies from the 1990s, they don't no longer exist in the top 500 Forbes companies because they haven't emerged into these new technologies that are ramping up business way faster than we used to do with a family company and ramping up more linear. So if you look at the particles of exponential organization, you look at digitization. So how can we digitize things that used to be hardware products? And an example of that is, for example, it's an iPad on wheels. For example, the Tesla car is now, and it's now just a software program running on an electric vehicle, and it's more of a computer than it's a car right now. If you look at biology, for example, now we can use CRISPR to change parts of our DNA. We can cure chronic diseases by taking out with nanotechnology, with being able to microscopically see where the problem is in our body. You can take out the bad parts and replace it with good parts. And these things, and with RNA vaccines and things, are finally getting through clinical trials to actually make us healthier human beings. Here's a small video of digitization and how that is changing our planet today.
Hi, Molly. Goodbye, Molly.
So this is how human interaction with AI can actually make our life more convenient, and it's all possible because of the technology becoming cheap and smaller. There's becoming more of a disruption, while we are not ready for that yet. But we need to be exponential to actually tackle climate change and solve our planet's biggest issues. So we need to get rid of our brains that are holding us back in understanding all of these things. So we have to upgrade our brains with these new sensors, like the Neuralink from Elon Musk is able to chip your brain and being able to help you do your daily task better and preventing, for example, dementia overcoming you. So Google cars were scanning our planet, digitizing our planet in 2012. Were very expensive. They were 300,000 € to create such a car and camera. And now open source, people are sharing apps that you can put on your own phone that are just 999 € to make your own car self-driving. That's how fast things are changing. And then people are doing this.
Holy shit. Holy shit. There's no fucking hands on that wheel. Oh my god. What? It's driving itself.
So now almost every company are putting a bet on this technology. Yeah, like everyone's saying, okay, we will accept if there is any car issues, we will accept the consequences of a self-driving car. It's like the Kodak moment. They invented the digital camera, but they were, and the inventor was not allowed to put it into public, and sooner or later they went bankrupt, and Instagram digital camera app took over the whole business. It's a completely new business model, but digital cameras with today's phones in our pocket made Kodak go bankrupt. And you can see that abundance, photos taking now doesn't cost a penny anymore. Abundance in media and information and energy and resources are becoming more and more clear. And that's when things are getting disrupted. When things are getting abundant, you can have from scarcity to an abundance. You can see rapid change in business and business models. So the next phase is that things are getting so cheap that you see that newspapers and advertisement income are no longer working, as people went to Google for advertising. And you see that where CDs are making big profits in music industry now, with the digital market, there's no longer a profit in that market. So it's a democratization of knowledge and of technology, where people like Jack, 13-year-old, were able to use Wikipedia and internet sources to come up with solutions for pancreas cancer. And now you see that everyone, whatever age you are, can be of big meaning because of all the knowledge and of technology being at hand. And that's where we come at Exponential Organization. It's where we use all of this knowledge and technology for our benefit, and ramp up to a company that can scale to 1 billion people in 7 years. And these are some examples. There are books written about it. Exponential Organization is a nice recipe book that analyzes 150 startups that have made it, and now created a small recipe book for getting one yourself. And that starts with a purpose, a higher purpose, and then it goes into internal and external organization factors, where you get information input from external sources, and get internal changes to get to a rapidly fast growing company. And these recipes are all written into a workbook now. It's called Exponential Transformations. And that transformative purpose is something that a company can already implement to change the whole system of a company to actually save their future. And that can be a one-sentence answer. The simplest way to send files around the world, who create a community, like Elon Musk is willing to replace fossil fuels with clean energy, and everyone wants that and believes in that. So it gets into the minds of more and more people, into the minds of more and more community. So people will preferably buy a car with a purpose than just a car that is functional and does what it says. Not a vision or a mission in that sense, but it's actually bringing people further in their thinking. So if you look at all the recipes, and we can go through the knowledge of this, like Step on Demand, Community and Crowd. I actually would love to skip this part, as it's all great examples, but it takes too long. But it's more important to look at the recipes and check your own organization and how many of these recipes have we already implemented in place, and are we doing on a great way. So instead of having a house, using leverage assets like in Airbnb, in using someone's house, and not having too many risks of going bankrupt, because if no one is actually renting that house, it doesn't hurt you as an organization anymore, because you don't have to own things anymore. And then coming together, like Google is going to build game platforms for everyone. People are building dashboards to actually make real-time decisions. Like Booking.com is a very good example of that. They can see in 2 minutes, if they change a button on the website, they can see in 2 minutes if they have to change it back into the different color, or if it's going to be a more profitable decision. So that testing and with dashboards is going to influence a lot of decisions, less about intuition and more about data analytics. And giving your personnel the opportunity to experiment, to set up experiments, to set up pilots and try out new things is a big part of the internal organization that has to change. That you're allowed to fail, you're allowed to test new ideas, where your business plan has a lot of hypotheses. You cannot no longer predict the future. But you can use all the exponential thinking in startup mantras and new methodologies to make your own company more autonomous, self-steering, experimental, and more successful in the future. And here are some examples of how you can also use the community with social technologies. If you buy one, you give one, or if you refer someone, you get some credit for your next Uber drive or your next hotel booking. These kind of social technologies can actually help ramp up your growth in your digital organization. So once you have filled in the canvas for yourself as an organization, feel free to check in with other colleagues and to check if that vision and that purpose that you have for the future of organization is in line with what you want to achieve. And many of us have used this canvas. It's not created by one person like me. It's created by hundreds of innovators. And so these recipes are really well defined, and they can be applied on everyone's business. And if you are able to get 4 of the 11 recipes in place, you are already able to get to an exponential organization and to get to ramp up your company really quick. So there's no one actually able to implement all of the 11 recipes on the best, but every company has their own best recipe list for their growth. And that's it's not easy. It's a lot of experimenting. It can be done with sprints, 10-week sprints. And for big corporates, it's like transformation, where, for example, existing banks, they are having to compete with Amazon Payments and Google Banks and the Apple Pay right now. They are being outcompeted in the next 5 to 10 years if they are not changing. So there's a big urgency if they are doing nothing. Like with Kodak, don't be that company that is going to be bankrupt because you didn't see it coming. Feel free to tune in with the whole open ecosystem, open EXO, to get the best people and the best knowledge in place to make it work. And this whole community is set up by 2 persons and is now running yourself. It's so autonomous that I want to give gratitude to Salim Ismail on creating it, and Francisco Paulo on creating such a great ecosystem, and that companies like these are investing in changing their companies into the better, into making it more society driven. So I want to close off. Feel free to ask me anything about the methodology. There's a book that you can also read that has a 10 weeks workbook that has a 10 weeks structure to do it yourself. And if you need help, feel free to go into the Open Expo community and start creating your own exponential organization. So there, I want to stop, and I hope it was not too much information in too little time, but it's not an easy exercise. It's a going up on failure exercise, and I would love to coach more and more organizations into becoming one. So feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks for
this was
listening.
a wonderful presentation, and this was too much information, but very productive information. And thanks for joining us, and thanks for sharing your wisdom with the global audience in all over the world. And next time, you are already committed for March 2nd week in Islamabad for the 5th edition of Leaders in Islamabad Business Summit. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This was our second session, first session with Ralph Simon from London, and Nick van Breda, my friend from Netherlands. Thank you, Nick, again.
Thank you all for listening, and
Thank you.
looking forward to see the rest of the speakers.
See you,
Thank
and
you.
share
Bye-bye.
this summit more and more with your friends globally, as you are already doing. So we want
I will.
more and more audience and global communities together. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.